We're live. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Zach.
Uh, how are you today?
Well, we started our last camp of the summer, and so the drop off was quite squirrely. We met this other mom who was also a first timer, and so then we were like wandering all the way up to this pool, like 15 steps, and not the right place. Then a lifeguard was trying to help us find where we were going. Also, it was the wrong spot. Then I saw this lady who was like leaving, so I was like, "Wait, did your kid go?" She was like, "Yeah." It's behind this it's behind this wall in a weird sneaky area. I was like, outside? No. So anyway, it just was quite a rigmarole, but my littler guy was like, that was so fun. So somebody liked it.
Okay. Well, welcome, listeners, to another episode of TVI TMI.
TMI.
Is it T that like your anecdote just now was
Yeah, I
TMI?
was just punctuating that like there's a reason we're calling it that.
Right, yeah, got it. I'm a little confused. I have like five questions. So, camp was this week, and there was a pool involved, and there was a slide, or I'm. It sounds like you were at a water park, not camp.
Did I say five?
And I don't know. I think I added slide into the
Yeah.
mix.
It's like community center, so it does have many things, and I just
Okay.
got mixed up.
Like a rec center.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited because my dog had a solid poop this morning,
Ooh.
and we have been up not all night, but last night was the first decent night of sleep in 5 nights.
Oof,
So it
that's
was
rough.
like 4 nights of getting up to a dog freaking out
Hmm.
who thankfully she is a princess and will not go in the house and was like nudging me to go out so that she could do her
Oh,
business. But she
yeah,
was a very unhappy puppy. We went
yeah,
to the vet on early on a Sunday morning, which is super relaxing.
yeah,
And she just, she's a lab. She ate something she shouldn't.
yep.
And hopefully we're in the clear or on the
Oh,
mend or whatever
baby.
you want to say.
And
But
that's the worst feeling when like you have to hold it in. So I feel so bad for her that she is
it
trying to
is the
wake up your
worst feeling.
sorry Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. But we're in sync. I always like wake up. Like, what is
Oh,
it,
you can
girl?
tell. So she was your girl before you got married, right?
She was, yeah. And
Yeah.
for our listeners, she was the connector to meeting my wife because she loves butterflies, particularly monarch butterflies. And my wife Jen is a gardener and used to have milkweed on the front corner of her
Yeah.
garden. And we're actually coming up on 5 years of knowing each other next
Oh
week. And
my
so my
God.
dog would force me to her garden, would sit and not move and stare at butterflies. And then Jen and I started chit chatting and
Wow.
walking our dogs and getting to know each other. And yeah, so
That's
pretty.
crazy. That's crazy. I know you told me about the garden, the butterflies, but this is just a tangent. My dad, this last like 2 years as he was like sick, but obviously still doing stuff and moving and grooving, he was painting this beautiful piece of art that was like butterflies, all these different types of butterflies, and then in the center of it like two people in distress holding each other. I should send you a picture of it. But yeah, butterflies are just such a significant. So Zach is stopped being recording because of a low browser storage. Ask him to rejoin and free up. That seems so bizarre. No, you're good. I have no idea. I mean, you've been normal to me.
Unable to connect. Sorry, Maria.
There he is.
I think I have to move my computer like 3 feet back because it's not close enough to my internet connection.
Crazy. But what does it have to do with the browser?
I don't know. I think I think Riverside, our podcasting software, sucks. So whatever robots are listening, stick it up your robot ass.
My happy little
It'll be
clam, Zaki.
it'll be interesting to
My
see
happy little.
yeah, how they um, edit this. Uh, well, you were telling me about your dad's painting of butterflies with two people in distress, and
I
you
just
guys
think
saying
butterflies are very significant, and I love that they brought you guys together. That's so neat. Yeah.
killed the vibe a little.
The story of my
Like,
dad's painting. Oh,
no, just the lack of connectivity.
oh yeah.
When we're just trying to connect with people right now, damn it.
Let us connect.
Why
By
doesn't
Jove.
this? What are we talking about today, Maria?
So
Today
I'm
we're
really
winging it.
not true. We've had two conversations about this, and I think it's important that sometimes word finding, will include the word finding. Not that we seem experty, but like we struggle with the same things that everyone with brain injuries do, and our listeners. And I know there was a time for me when I thought, and I think this is true for some people forever post injury, and for me, it can be true. But where like napping for 5 hours a day was a really big part of my life for 4 or 5 years and doing like one activity, those were kind of the ways I was going. And I know that I had an experience when I was in graduate school where I did like, I went to school, I worked part time at my internship, I taught a yoga class, and it was like I couldn't believe that I had done all that stuff because I'd been going from like 7 a.m. till 4 o'clock basically with no stops. And I'm not saying I recommend it. It was just like a 1 day thing. And my top was blown off. Like I could not believe that I'd been able to, I meant like my hair. My
Okay.
hair was blown off.
Okay.
Is that what they mean when they say top
I
blown off?
don't know. That's what I was like.
Zach, for those who are listening, removed his shirt, pretend removed his shirt, which I didn't know that that's what top blown off. Anyway, um, but I think like you were telling me about your Thursday
Right.
and kind of your experience, and we were going to sort of tease that out a little, which I think is really useful.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we talked on Thursday in our little pre-production meeting about, how we were going to prepare for today. And
Friday.
was that Friday? Oh, yeah, because Thursday was a cluster F. And so we talked, and I was feeling very triumphant because that was day one of Diarrhea Fest 2025 for
Yikes.
my doggy. And I had a new business meeting to start the day and meeting
Is
with
that
my
at your regular
leadership,
work? Or is the new business the other person?
the other person.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm starting a new, excuse me, sorry, a new CPA business. So if anybody's looking for a brain injured CPA, I'm your guy.
Wow. Gonna get a lot of, no, just kidding.
Yeah. Cormier Smith Financial, where we do it right. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up.
Mhm.
Um, so I was meeting with a gentleman to talk about taking him on as a new client to start the day. And then my full time work, we had a new partner join the leadership team, and I was giving him and the other leaders a financial rundown of basically the last 4 years of business to
Mhm.
people who don't know or really have familiarity with financial information. So I had been working for weeks to sort of distill a lot of information into
Yeah.
digestible chunks,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and um, and then this new business meeting came out of nowhere, and I said yes, and Thursday rolled around, and I was really hoping that the new business guy would cancel because we live in LA and everybody says yes when they mean no, and there's about a 50-50 chance that you're actually getting together with the person you say you're going to, and that includes family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Yeah, I'll see you there." And we met at our favorite coffee shop, and what I thought would be a 30-minute chit chat turned into a 90-minute chat and seemed very aligned. And I feel like we could help him and what he needs in his business and growing his own clientele base. And so it felt good to do that. And then I spent probably about an hour trying to weasel out of the afternoon meeting by
Mm-hmm.
talking to different colleagues and leaders that I worked for, like, hey, are we doing this still? Can we push it? Yeah, you know? And luckily, I wasn't the first person to try to weasel out, but it was determined that we would move forward. And this is a Thursday afternoon meeting, which, you and I have talked about fatigue.
Yeah.
Afternoons are tough in
Not great.
general.
Right.
Thursday, I think, for a full time working person,
Which, I
in my
mean, crazy.
experience, Thursday afternoon is like, if I can look back on the last couple of years where I've kind of lost my cool
Mm-hmm.
and struggled, it's usually a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
And so there's the other part of it where, I spent 2 weeks overthinking this whole thing. And I think the exhaustion and the adrenaline and the fatigue allowed me to just kind
Was
of
this
pull
the
out.
bite-sized
Yes.
pieces for like your whole bigger group of
Exactly.
people and
Yeah. So
the new person, the
I
new
think it
business,
allowed me to kind of
new leader?
exactly just take the pieces that felt like most easily communicable,
Mm-hmm.
and I had done the work to get the kind of visual aids,
Yeah.
and I just like slapped together a presentation literally 2 minutes before the meeting started.
Right.
And luckily, there were a bunch of other subjects to go over before my presentation, so I had
Mm-hmm.
about 40 minutes to kind of sit there and calm myself down.
Mm-hmm.
But I more or less got a standing ovation for my presentation,
Wow.
and I think it really illuminated the work we've done from a financial perspective, where we
Mm-hmm.
want to go, how we want to do it. And so I was just really pleased with myself. And, one of the things we talked about is I had to make some sacrifices that
Right.
day as a result,
Which is
which
huge.
were, I, when you're not sleeping, you're not really thinking about your routine. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to get distracted and you just want to go back to sleep, and then you start eating candy or caffeine to manage. And so luckily my wife has seen this pattern once or twice before, and she kind of righted the ship. So I think right from the get-go, from getting up and being exhausted from like 3 hours of sleep, she said, you need to eat something. So I ate something significant, lots of protein, lots of brain food.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that morning meeting, I normally would have gone for a swim, and I just knew what was ahead of me, and I had to remove that routine from that particular day because I knew the physical taxation would result in a lot like exponential mental taxation.
So I think it's really important just to pause for a second, partially because I'll forget what I'm going to say. I'm trying to make notes, but they're horrible, and I'm writing on like a checkbook, so I can barely see. I just think the neurotypical, or maybe people prefer to say non-brain injured people. I've heard so many people say like, "Yeah, I get energy from working out," and once in a blue moon, it kind of helps me wake up, especially in the afternoon, like that fatigue we're talking about, like if I go for a walk. But for example, swimming, like and I think you walk there, but still, for people that don't walk, they drive. The steps of walking or getting to the place, then getting on your swim stuff, then getting in the pool, then the physical exertion, then getting out of the pool. There's a lot of steps that go into something like that. And even if it is mostly a positive thing, it is a big expenditure. And so I do think it's really useful just to recognize that something that may be for a person who doesn't have a brain injury, oh, it's a really hard day, I've got to make sure I get my workout in. For us, it's the opposite. That, like, being gentle with yourself and maybe doing child's pose for a couple minutes, or just laying on your floor in a shavasana, or just doing nothing, sometimes is much better and more restful for our brains. And I'm really glad you brought that up. And I think, to go hand in hand with that, the food piece, I may have mentioned this before, but again, non-brain injured people oftentimes are doing, fasting in the morning or different things like that. And I'm not saying a blanket statement, but the nutrition information I have is that oftentimes people with brain injuries should be sleeping with a jar of nuts by their bed. So the second they wake up, they can have a little bit of nuts before they even set foot into someone else's presence. And so this putting off eating can be impacting your mood as a brain injury survivor. And if you talk to my spouse, they will second that emotion. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those couple things out there, and I do want to hear what else you kind of had to remove to get to accomplish this huge day.
No, I mean, I think those are kind of the two main. I think the main thing we discussed was like altering the routine to adjust for the reality of the situation.
In the
I
reality of
think,
you.
yeah. And like I said, partly that was the benefit of having a supportive partner, but a part of it was kind of the practice of having this sort of wherewithal to take a step back and slow it down and think about my day from beginning to end,
Yeah.
and what would most likely give me the opportunity or the runway for success. And, I don't know if we haven't really talked a ton about visualization, and I don't even know that I incorporate visualization that much. I know, when I was doing my Burning Man phase,
Era.
manifestation was a very popular term that, if you manifest what you want, it'll come true. It's a little woo woo for my taste, but
Today.
I do think, I'm an athlete of sorts, and I idolize many of the great basketball players, the Bill Russells, the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryants, and I think a lot of them incorporated a lot of like visualizing the success before performing it. And I'm getting a little off subject here because, like
No,
I
I
said,
think
it's not something I really have consciously thought about doing, but I think on this particular day, I really had to map out what success looked like and then inch toward it.
yeah.
And so it
I
just
think
felt
it's,
good to like set myself up for that, achieve it, and then kind of celebrate it. Because I think the celebration is the thing that also gets overlooked. Because there's always something else to do, you know? And you can be exhausted and still celebrate, you know?
yeah.
So I don't know what you think about
Well, I
your
love the
writing.
visualization. I think um, some of the things that you bring up that I don't always think of are really useful. Like, it is a coping tool to really check in with your self-talk. And I know we spoke about that before. how do I say to myself, instead of you're going to mess up or don't mess up, say like, hey, you got this. Or I think you gave the example of like talking to yourself, kind of how you might talk to a friend or a child. And I think that's really useful to just like edit our lens a little when it's very, very easy for us to get into that negative spiral. And I think this idea of like who I was pre-brain injury versus who I am now, and oh, pre-brain injury, I would have done all the stuff and worked out. That is not what we're talking about. Why even go there? It's so much more powerful, like you're saying, to get into the headspace of like, whoa, I made it through that day. And look at how I edited and was flexible with my routine and was able to accomplish these things that I never really thought I'd be able to do. Like two big meetings in a day where you were the leader, and things that were in your brain 30 minutes that ended up going for 90 minutes. You said before outburst, and I think that's so incredibly vulnerable to mention. Whether it's a tantrum, an outburst, a mood swing, whatever it is, those are symptoms of head injury. We have sensitive breaks to things not going the way we want and the way that we anticipate. And unfortunately, most of the people in the world do not have brain injuries, and they also don't understand them. So they're not going to celebrate you for making it through that day.
Right.
But you have to. And I think that is definitely not something to bypass.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's funny, I think about the pre-brain injury life of utilizing self-deprecating humor to kind of connect with new people or familiar people. But I think I've done enough therapy now to realize just that sort of that lens through which to see yourself might be a quick joke or a quick hit, but just kind of doesn't have long-term benefits. It's
Is that pre-brain injury that you found yourself doing the therapy? The therapy.
oh, I
Post
mean,
and
I've been doing therapy since my parents divorced
give us a
25
year.
years ago.
How many?
25,
Oh,
26,
26 years.
26.
26 years of therapy. You got me beat. I've only been
Yeah.
in for 20. Oh my gosh, speaking of, my accident anniversary is August 21st,
Wow.
2006.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
think this truly is this 19?
19.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we going to do for
Crazy.
your big 2-0?
Well, that's not till next year. So
So we have a year to think
we have a
about
year
it.
to plan it.
On episode 75 of TVI TMI, you will celebrate your 20th anniversary of your brain injury. Wow, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And it's funny too, like speaking of mood, because I know I've talked to you a little about like my PMS and stuff like that, that is definitely heightened with brain injury and just the mood swings overall. But there's a bit of a familiar feeling that's not PMS, but it's just like more agitated and kind of on edge and sort of sad, which, you know, happens to me every year around this time. And
Mm.
oftentimes I don't realize what it is, and then I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's August 17th. Like, of course, this is right before it all went down. Like your body knows even though your
Yeah,
brain doesn't or whatever.
that's crazy. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
um, we do not have a call today because we wanted to talk about big life decisions, particularly like, for example, we won't go into like the specifics, but like buying a car or
Yeah. Well,
real estate, investments, financial transactions with a brain injury, because there are a lot, the kind of layout for a lot of these transactions are set up for the salesperson to convince, to put it nicely, the buyer to purchase something. And, you know, we're dating ourselves here, but there's, the good old Seinfeld episode where the salespeople keep them at the dealership all day long to try to convince you to buy the car. And there's a reason that car salespeople and real estate agents and those types of salespeople have the reputation they do. And, there's a lot that goes into that transaction and that interaction and the type of people with which you're dealing with, and being mentally prepared to verbally, emotionally, mentally spar with a stranger to get a desired result. Is that a fair assessment?
yeah, well, so and I think it's probably useful to also bring up a couple things. One, I know I've worked with a lot of people with brain injury where money and finances is very complicated and can create really big problems. I know for me, when I had my accident and really the like at least 12 years, 13 years that followed my accident, I had no money. And so there is definitely something too when you have a head injury of certain things and beliefs getting heightened. And that kind of goes back to the black and white thing. So, like for me in my head, a lot of times I'm just like, spending money is bad, not spending money is good. And so, with this example that we're bringing up, like I probably could buy a car. In the past, I've bought a used car and I would continue buying a used car, but I
Can we
just
talk a little about your Volvo just for a little side
please.
bar?
Well, you
Tell
know
us
what
a
I
little about your
can't move
Volvo.
on from is
What?
that in Santa Monica, I lived by the high school and I had a parking pass and I had my window rolled down once and some little jerk off high school student must have reached in and taken my pass, and they were so hard to get and parking was horrible and I got so many tickets. Again, had no money. That's why I'm a complete nut about parking and parking rules and like, anyway. But yes,
We got to
please.
get you a handicap placard. It's a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Do
Well, I
it.
mean,
What are you doing?
my mobility is good for the most part, like I have whatever, but my
Okay.
mobility is good. And I feel like it should be reserved for people that have challenges with mobility. But
You're right.
yeah. I mean, no,
Okay.
I'm not right
But
or wrong.
there's parking and stress, and I am just going back to the weird parking office in Santa Monica that was like next to a hotel, and there was one parking space for visitors. And so you're fighting with strangers, or you're parking like 3 blocks away, and then you're standing in a line
The
and
line was like around the block
around the
every
block.
day.
Yeah.
And you would get there at 6 a.m. to beat like the one of the first in line for the I think 7 or 8 a.m. opening. I mean,
Yeah.
just insanity.
Yeah. It's like David Bowie concert tickets in the 70s.
Yeah.
Um,
But go
anyways,
back to
okay, so I
what are you going to remember
totally.
about my car though? I cut you off.
Well, I just remember it was basically the same car that I think my dad had when I was like 6 years old. So I was always kind of pumped by you driving it. But let's get back to the subject because I totally derailed us.
Just
But
think again back to the black and white with money. I feel so nervous to do something like that, even though I could. It really worries me. And I don't know how to change that, and I don't know, yeah, like you said, like how to decide if is something financially an okay decision, especially if it's a bigger purchase. But again, I think for our listeners, there are probably people out there that struggle to know when a little expenditure is worth it. So I don't know, as a CPA, if you can help us think through any of this.
I mean, I hope so. I hope I can help. I think one of the reasons I got into accounting was because I was evaluating my own relationship with money.
Mm.
And as we've talked about, so much of what we discuss having a brain injury and dealing with everyday life, on some level, everybody is dealing with this as well. And so I think connecting that piece is important. You're not alone. Everybody, a relationship with money is like something that all of us in a modern society have to deal with, whether we like it or not. And I think most of us don't like it. Um, so facing that head on is my approach. You can hide away, you can ignore it, you can not think about it, you can escape from it. I think I did that for a long time and it didn't serve me in the long run. I think if you're thoughtful about it and you want to learn about it, with the caveat that this is a man made construct of society that is not egalitarian, it is not merit based, really. It is a tool for navigating through life, is my approach, and it's what I try to communicate to my friends, my family, my bosses, colleagues, clients. Like,
Well, and I so appreciate that. And as you're saying it, like on the one hand, I feel like I don't have space in my brain to learn. I feel too overwhelmed by the idea of understanding what you're talking about to even really fully listen. And that's like, I think a skill that I learned since my head injury of like, if I'm not going to really understand it or if it's too overwhelming, I'm just going to not. But then what ends up happening is I become somewhat obsessive. Like I'm looking at this car all the time. I'm looking at how much money I would have to put in to make it feasible. I'm looking at my bank accounts. I'm doing this so much that it's ending up taking emotional energy and space because I can't make a decision about is it right or is it wrong.
right. Well, to try to connect it to other types of decisions, what are some of the steps that you think you would take in terms of having a checklist for those decisions of, something as simple as like going to the grocery store? Can you mirror some of your decision making processes for other types of decisions, for decisions about money, so that it feels more familiar and similar and less what's the word I'm looking for? Word finding. I don't want to say catastrophic, that it's not so final. I think that's part of the tough stuff with the money decisions. It's, if I do this, it's either going to be right or wrong, which comes back to the whole black and white thinking. But I think it's so hard to put yourself in that decision making space. Is this the best decision for me right now? I think maybe makes it a little less caustic. Is caustic the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking
Finite,
for?
maybe?
Mm,
I just don't even know that word. If you could give it a
yeah.
definition, I'd like to hear it.
Let's see. I think caustic is the word I'm looking for. Let's see. Internet, are you right? Nope, that's way off. Caustic, sarcastic in a scathing and bitter way. Not at all. I think final is will have to be the temporary placement for now.
Well, so part of it with, I mean, I guess yeah, decision making, but then there's also a piece that's like, I guess it's self trust, right? So, not to keep telling you more details of the story, but basically my brother-in-law, who you know well, and I very much trust. He works in finance, and like he basically, with the
We'll have
amount of money,
a 10-part episode, a 10-part series on him.
with the amount of money that I'm talking about, he's like, just invest it, and I think for me, I'm just like, I want to do that, but I also want to have fun and use the money for fun. But I keep coming back to, well, if this person that's obviously smarter than me about money is saying, don't
Act
spend it,
smarter.
invest it, then I'm like, and so then I get stuck in that, not trusting myself. And so I like what you're saying about like this idea of it doesn't have to be forever. Like if you get the car and then you decide to resell it, that's fine. It'll be fine. It's also like, I don't want to say trusting that like your life should be good or easy and like you deserve that. I don't know. It's like all of those things
Right.
get
Yeah.
wrapped into it. And again, going back to like other people I've seen deal with this and feel other people with brain injuries, like, buying too much clothes or spending too much money and then being in a bad place later. It's like they're caught in that same thing of wanting to do something and enjoy it, but then it ends up hurting you.
Well, I mean, frankly, I'm sort of in this space myself right now on a very small scale. Maybe, I mean, maybe adding that kind of quantifier isn't appropriate, but I have a shoe problem. It's not the
I
same
didn't
as
know
what
that.
you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And for a while, I was buying my Air Jordans that I wasn't allowed to have as a little kid, and now I can afford them,
Yep.
and I still love them. And oh well, maybe they'll be an investment, the ones that I don't wear. So I'm gonna start buying all these shoes, and I would immediately buy them, and then they would come, and then I would sort of feel this sort of sadness because it wasn't really satisfying whatever need. And I think, well, one of the things I need to do and have kind of come to this place is like, well, what's the behavior and why am I doing it?
Mm-hmm.
I think in your case, if you talk more about, well, I want this investment to
Be something I can
A,
enjoy.
be something you enjoy, then I think that will impart your decision making a lot more. And if you can break down the kind of components of what you enjoy and how much of this decision will incorporate those components, that might help you quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you like the wind in your hair, then you will get a convertible kind of thing.
Right.
Or
Right.
um, I don't know, if you think you look best in a bright yellow car, I don't know, maybe you get a yellow
No,
car.
I mean, I
But
think you're making such a good point. I think there's also part of it too, the behavior I want, but like, what's the behavior I don't want? And that trickles into more of the, if I'm not ready to make the decision, then I need to stop obsessively looking and checking and look at my email or look at the different options. It's like I need to just stop and like the idea is there and tell myself like it's off limits to look at this car anymore and just like I'm going to make the decision in 6 months. So between now and 6 months, like just take a break from the checking because then
yeah,
it's kind of souring the whole process and it's like strengthening in a way that behavior of not trusting myself where it's okay to take time and step away before you make a decision. But the being in the will I won't they.
yeah. I do think there's a little bit that's not your fault too. I think we're just kind of inundated with this like this will make you happy stuff. I mean, I think it dates back to just I'm a big Mad Men fan, and there's so much of that early advertising that was steeped in buy this thing, it'll make you happy was kind of the
Right.
messaging.
Right.
And I watched Wall-E this weekend.
Oh, so
Well,
good.
which is super good and cute, but it's really depressing because it's basically like tech company is going to control your life by
Mm.
putting
Stuff.
screens in front of your face to distract
Screens
you
from living.
and control you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there is a little bit of, because if you go do a Google search for, a park in your neighborhood or something because you want to take the boys there, there's going to be like 7 ads for some other crap
Yeah.
related to a Zillow search or like an Auto Trader search or
Right.
whatever you were looking at in the morning while you were on the
Yeah.
toilet,
That's a good point.
so,
Yeah.
um,
You're not free. Like they don't let you be free.
well, I think you're freer than most of us because you don't have a smartphone, which I think is something.
Good luck. PSA.
But this weekend I was like, I'm gonna turn my smartphone off, and I'm not gonna be held to it because I was just so exhausted, and I didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, it's a security blanket for so many people and it feels good and like because I'm not on one, like I drive around and I just look at the bus and everyone who's waiting for the bus is like this.
I know.
It's just like it's no one's fault. It's just the way that it sucks you in. And it's also like there are definitely times where I'm waiting for someone at a restaurant and I'm like
You
looking
wish you had a
around.
smartphone.
Well, I'm just like, I would definitely look cooler, or even if I'm on a walk, sometimes I keep my phone closed like this to talk on it
Yeah,
because
but
I'm
one of
like,
the things I love about you is I never was thinking like, oh, Maria's thinking about how to look cool.
well, not cooler, but like, I don't know. I feel like every person I know is like, you're still using that, and like, I don't know why they are saying that. And I guess it's not
I
really.
think
Am
it's
I cold?
jealousy. I think it's jealousy. I do. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, like my neck hurts. Like, why do I need to be looking at I like my wife. She's beautiful.
Oh, is that your
Um,
garden that she's in? Okay,
that is
distraction.
our garden.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's a spring garden. Actually, that's an early summer garden because there's some tomato flowers, which our tomatoes have started reflowering, which is very exciting. And we're
Very.
2 weeks away from doing our annual Roma tomato hunt where we go at dawn to Underwood Farms in, I'm going to screw it up, Moore Park, and we pick about 100 plus pounds of Roma tomatoes, and then my wife spends the day making sauce
Bruschetta.
or
Oh no, sauce.
or as the Italianos would say, gravy.
Yeah. How cool is that? I love that
Um,
tradition.
I don't know if we wrapped our subject on big ticket purchased items. Is there anything
I don't
else you want to
I mean
say? Was that
I think
helpful? Do you think we
yeah, it was. I
helped
mean,
anybody?
I think the thing is I know myself and when I do that, when I keep going back to something over and over again, it's usually because it is a good idea. And so I really appreciate you saying that like part of the world we live in is also making it so I can't really take breaks from looking at that and obsessing about it. And so, like, trusting myself, but also, I feel like in this conversation, I've also realized like I can take a break, and that's probably the healthiest thing for me in order to make the right decision for me. That's a way in which I can strengthen the self trust is to take a break and just like let myself live and and then decide. And financially, what I'm really hearing you say too is that like, well, you wrap that part up actually.
Well, yeah, I think the thing to really think about is, relationships with money are complicated. Acknowledging money as a tool and maybe not as a goal,
Mm-hmm.
because I invest and it's fun to watch your balance go up, but and it will affect you down the road. And all of these things are real and not real at the same time. And I think thinking about what matters to you and distilling down your goals will help you in these financial decisions.
Yeah.
And that they don't have to be an end all be all. It's not.
Right. That's good too to remember.
Yeah.
That it's not forever. It's not finite. Or kalazabah. What was the word that you
Caustic was the word.
Caustic?
But it's not the right word. If anyone knows the word I'm thinking of, please email, Instagram. Our Instagram is TBI podcast. We figured out through a calamity of errors and my sending Maria the wrong name of our podcast several times and saying, really, it's working for me.
We got it figured out though.
We got it figured out. TBI podcast on Instagram, and our YouTube page is
TBI as well. Oh my golly. And we're still working on TikTok. It's not letting us change our name, and my beautiful co-host put it in as like Maria Bawa. So that's our current Bawa 5, I think.
Bawa 5. Oh shoot.
And we have 0 views. So
Cool.
but I'm slowly but surely working to change the name there, the nombre.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been fun to kind of talk about more of our shiznit, and we do really, really appreciate when people call in, and so we put that number below, but also up above. Please give us a like if you're liking this, or submit a question here, and we'll get to that.
Do you want me to do our little disclaimer dealie?
Love that.
Or do you want to do it? If I could find it. We're excited to be sharing these conversations with you. We're going to be covering a new topic related to TBIs each week, going over listener submitted calls or emails from real life situations. We'll be releasing episodes every Tuesday. So please subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of these fun and important conversations.
And ding the button below if you like it.
Is liking still a thing, or is that like 2005?
Just mainly subscribe. You're right.
Yeah, subscribe. Please subscribe. Send your comments, or don't. Just tell us you love us. That's all we really want. The content in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional advice, and that we, the hosts, are not liable for how our listeners use this information. If you need more support, please contact a therapist or a medical provider. If you're having suicidal thoughts, please text 988 for support. Maria, thank you for your time. It is wonderful to see you.
Thank you, Zachary. Thank you for your talented CPA skills.
Sure, yeah, I will be sending you a bill for my time.
Can't wait to receive.
And we will talk to you all next week.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.